Unbelievable! A terrifying scene unfolding across America. Fields and crops vanish overnight. None other than wild boars. In an effort to protect the peace of the villages, skilled hunters have set out on a noble mission to push back the threat of wild boars ravaging the farmlands. This hunt is not just a battle, but an intense journey to safeguard the fruits of the farmers' labor. To prepare for today's hunt, the hunters are outfitting themselves with state-of-the-art tools, from powerful rifles, high-tech binoculars, to suppressors to maintain the secrecy of their positions, all for the safety and tranquility of the village. Follow them closely. Witness the breathtaking moments and the unpredictable action. Will they succeed? Stay tuned to find out. Kevin's team marches toward the field, the first location of the day. They quickly disperse, each taking their designated ambush positions. The entire team remains silent, waiting. About 10 minutes later, from the east, Jay spots a group of wild boars. They're entering the area, starting to root and destroy the crops. Jay raises his rifle, locking onto the lead boar, the largest one in the herd. Boom! The beast is hit, but still tries to escape. The rest of the boars panic, scattering wildly into the thick bushes, disappearing from sight. Undeterred, Kevin quickly targets a lone boar that's fallen behind the group. A sharp shot rings out, shattering the silence. The boar drops instantly. The first victory fuels the team's momentum.
Yapıştır.
On the other side, Jay is silently closing in on a wild boar hiding among the bushes. James, stationed at the roadblock, moves quietly, holding his breath as he crouches behind a patch of grass. Suddenly, a large shadow bursts out from the underbrush. The wild boar charges straight toward the field. Without hesitation, James pulls the trigger. The sound of the gunshot echoes. The wild boar collapses instantly, unable to cause any more damage. One shot, one decisive blow, saving the entire field. Soon after, the sound of hounds echoed from afar, signaling the appearance of the target. James and his team quickly pinpoint the sound, moving to a strategic position for a clear shot. A large shadow emerges from a distance. The wild boar is moving slowly toward the field. James, with his vast experience, doesn't rush. He waits, carefully lining up his shot on the boar's head. Boom! The shot rings out sharply. The wild boar collapses onto the cold earth, unable to react. The threat has been neutralized before it could cause any harm. This isn't just a game. It's a duty to protect the livelihoods of the people, and the battle is far from over. After taking a break to recover, the team moves westward toward a dense thicket, the perfect hiding spot for the wild boars. From a distance, they can hear the hounds barking, a sound that echoes through the air. Using the trained instincts of a seasoned hunter, Kevin quickly takes his position. Sure enough, a massive wild boar suddenly bursts out of the bushes, charging toward Kevin at full speed. Without a second's hesitation, he squeezes the trigger. The boar collapses, barely a meter away from him. If he'd hesitated for even a split second, Kevin might not be standing here now. What do you think of this intense face-to-face showdown? Drop a comment below and let us know. A moment later, the sound of hounds suddenly echoed from the trail, signaling the target's presence. James and his team rushed forward, quickly pinpointing the location. They take cover behind thick bushes, rifles aimed forward. The atmosphere becomes tense. A wild boar appears. Without hesitation, James squeezes the trigger. The sharp crack of the shot fills the air. The boar collapses, unable to take another step. A danger has been eliminated. The perfect coordination between the hunting dogs and the hunter's precise shooting skills forms the solid step toward protecting this year's harvest. The hunt has become exhausting. The team is preparing to pack up and rest. A moment of silence envelops the forest, only to be shattered by the urgent barking of the hounds. A clear signal. This is the final target of the day. Hunting wild boar in the freezing depths of Michigan's wilderness is no easy feat. Bitter winds cut through the skin, snow blankets the ground, and obscures every track. And each step forward could lead straight into lurking danger. Only those with unshakable willpower and true grit can endure to the very end. And today, I'm taking you deep into that journey from tense, silent stalking to the heart-pounding moments face to face with fierce beasts, all the way to the final twist that you won't see coming. Let's dive into this one hunt you won't want to miss. At first light, our team was already in position. Not long after, the first target emerged, roaming as if it owned the forest. But in the wild, overconfidence is a deadly weakness, and I had been waiting for that very moment. Take note, everyone. Never pull the trigger too early, just because the prey is in your sights. Wait until its guard is down. That's the golden moment for any hunter. The first shot was enough to weaken the boar, but not to finish it. Wounded, it spun around and veered off in a desperate attempt to escape.
Que organicen.
The frantic speed of a wounded wild boar is enough to throw any rookie into a panic, but not me. A wounded animal will always head uphill. It's instinct. And just as it charged toward the slope, trying to make its escape, the second shot dropped it cold, ending the chase and restoring the forest's peace once more. After taking down the first one, we continued sweeping the area and soon came face to face with another group. The tension was razor sharp, demanding quick reflexes and split-second decisions. A single bullet hit its mark, dropping the wild boar just before it could vanish into the dry woods. A calm, calculated shot under pressure. Its companions managed to slip away, but don't worry, we're not stopping until we track them all down. The chase led us into terrain with limited visibility, but that was no problem for David. With over 20 years of hard-earned experience, he knew exactly where those wild boars would circle back. The ones that escaped earlier were bound to pass through this area. And sure enough, when one of them appeared, there was no chance David would let the opportunity slip. The gunshot rang out before the smoke had even cleared. The boar was already down, clean and precise. In any hunt, experience and composure are the keys to victory. With the target secured, we finally took a moment to catch our breath and gather our strength for what's next. Back in the snow-covered woods, the cold couldn't slow our steps. In fact, it made the prey even more frantic. It weaved through the trees like a ghost, but Kevin had already mapped out its path. The moment it broke into a rare clearing was the moment his bullet found its mark. In every hunt, the ability to anticipate the target's movement is the key that allows us to take control. Clean, efficient, and decisive. As we pushed onward across the snowy hills, we came across a bold one. The white snow made the perfect backdrop, exposing every clumsy attempt at camouflage. The wild boar, thinking itself invisible behind a few spindly trees, had no idea its illusion was about to shatter. With just a gentle squeeze of the trigger, Thomas ended it right there. Overconfidence turned its hiding place into a grave. What do you think was that false sense of security its biggest mistake? By day's end, the cold had seeped through every layer of clothing, but it couldn't shake my focus. As the herd of wild boars charged through, I quickly locked onto a young one. One clean pull of the trigger, and it dropped against the snow-white background, while the rest vanished into the deep woods. Stay calm, stay focused, let experience guide you. That's the mark of a true hunter in those fleeting, decisive moments. The wild boar population is surging at an alarming rate of reproduction. Each year, their uncontrolled breeding poses a severe threat to the agricultural economy and human habitats. In response, hunting has become an urgent measure to control their numbers and protect the lives of local residents. And today's hunt is part of that grueling battle. A clash between humans and the increasingly uncontrollable wild beasts. Moving to the planned hunting location, as soon as he steps out of the vehicle, Nick carefully assesses the situation along the trail. The confrontation officially begins when a wild boar charges forward, unaware of Nick's presence. Just as Nick predicted, the beast appears on the pre-calculated route. He assumes a ready stance and waits. With a single shot, the creature collapses on the spot. A perfect ambush is unfolding at another location. A decisive gunshot rings out the moment the wild boar emerges. It collapses swiftly, unaware of what just happened. A soft sigh of relief escapes, marking another well-earned triumph. Continuing to move around the area, 10 minutes later, Nick followed the familiar warning sound and approached. Each step, along with his pounding heartbeat, created extreme tension. The beast quickly appeared before the gun barrel. Perfect! Right after, the gunshot rang out. The beast collapsed, unable to resist. same time, deep in the forest, a breathless confrontation was unfolding. The moment the hound's frantic barking erupted, Leon immediately rushed forward. There it was, a massive beast, tightly surrounded by the hunting dogs. Oh my god! Without warning, it lunged straight at Leon. He pulled the trigger without hesitation, dropping the beast at his feet before it could strike. With years of hunting experience and nerves of steel, Leon escaped death's sight by a hair's breadth. Without pause, Leon continued expanding his search range. He pushed through dense thickets of foliage, advancing toward the signaled location. The moment his prey came into view, rapid gunfire erupted, stopping the beast in its tracks. Another trophy fell beneath Leon's barrel, proof of the professional hunter's skill. Moments later, another hunter was hot on his target's trail. Taking up a strategic firing position, he pulled the trigger the instant his prey came into view. A swift, precise shot, eliminating the threat lurking deep in the wilderness. Today's hunt draws to a close here. The trails and thickets bore witness to every heart-stopping trigger pull. Months of sweat and toil had led to this moment, the time to reap what we'd sown. But our joy was shattered by a heartbreaking sight. Rows of corn stalks lay crushed, cobs torn apart, the fields scarred with fresh signs of destruction. The culprits? A rampaging herd of wild boars. Our hard work, our dreams, reduced to rubble in an instant. Unwilling to surrender, we grabbed our rifles and set out to take down these invaders. This cornfield, my family's pride, where Devil and I now stand, is nothing but a scene of devastation. The wreckage speaks for itself, no explanation needed. The culprit revealed itself in a flash. A massive black shadow tearing through the clearing, quick as lightning. I fired, round after round. The beast took a hit, but charged wildly into the corn, desperate to escape. My eyes never wavered, my grip steady. One final shot. Dead on! Ended it all! No matter how stubborn, no destroyer can outmatch us, the rightful guardians of this land, hunters born from this soil. Out in the cornfield, the hunt was no easy task. Too many perfect hiding spots for those wild boars. As we moved along the irrigation ditch, Devil suddenly surged forward. I read his signal and followed close behind. Out of nowhere, a ferocious boar charged across our path, cutting us off. Quick as lightning, Devil fired. The first shot sent the beast into a frenzy, crashing through the tall grass. But it didn't get far. The second shot, clean and decisive, left it cold. Another destroyer felled in the heart of our field, because we won't let this land be violated. A rustle erupted from the corn rows, and in an instant, 2 wild boars burst from the thicket, practically begging to be targeted. Caught off guard, I was on my own to face this sudden chaos. I fired rapidly, bullets chasing their frantic path. Boom! Boom! One boar dropped dead in its tracks. But in a split second, before I could even blink, the other vanished into the dense underbrush, slipping from my sights. Looks like today's hunt is throwing us more challenges than we bargained for. True companions, my dog zeroed in on the target in a flash, charging forward and clamping down hard on the boar's leg, cutting off any chance of escape. Right on cue, Devil stepped up and pulled the trigger. The massive boar collapsed, going limp in an instant. What a textbook takedown. What do you think? Drop a comment below. As we moved to the hillside, our dog's fierce barking erupted from the thicket. Without a second's hesitation, boom! A bullet struck its head, sending it reeling backward, tumbling down the slope. My heart raced. A split second slower, and I might have been the one tumbling. As the afternoon sun cast long shadows, the distant thud of hooves echoed in my ears. I was ready. So when two boars charged out of the brush, one after the other, I wasn't caught off guard. With years of experience, I locked onto my targets. One shot, and the first boar dropped. A second bullet, swift and short, felled the other as it scrambled to flee. The tension melted away, replaced by an unexpected wave of relief. As the final rays of sunlight stretched across the cornfields, we trudged back to the village, our trophies slung over our shoulders, drenched in the sweat of our labor.
I have hunted in many places, from the misty forests of Normandy to the vast cornfields of Iowa, but none have left me with as many emotions as the southwest of France, especially the Landes and Pyrenees-Atlantiques forest area. Of course, wild boar hunting is not for fun, but for survival, as farmers in the area have become so terrified that wild boars have destroyed most of their farms. As the sun rose, we spread out in different directions. The hunters began to drive wild boars from deep in the forest towards us, a shooting post right across the field. Dogs barking mixed with sirens. The wild boar collapsed after a gunshot. I felt my heart pounding, not necessarily from fear, but from excitement and a sense of victory. The leader boar was killed, but the rest escaped and hid in the woods. The dogs and I continued to chase. The boar rushed through the woods and ran toward the field where the farmer had just plowed the soil to prepare for sowing. The wild boar charged at a very fast speed, but still could not escape my bronze bullet. As another wild boar rushed out, and it could not escape the same fate as its fellows. Oh my God, did you see that? A herd of more than a dozen wild boars rushed out of the woods next to the farm. If they weren't exterminated, the farmers probably wouldn't be able to sow seeds in this field, because the pigs would destroy all the crops, including the seeds. Every time a wild boar appeared, I shot very decisively, because the farmers in the area placed all their hopes on us, believing that we would help them exterminate the wild boars. We went deep into the forest to hunt wild boars. The excitement and thrill of infiltrating their lair made us look forward to killing more wild boars. Hey man, did you see a wild boar run by? Soon we found them. Without wasting much time, my friends and I opened fire. Wild boars fell one after another. We happily collected the spoils. We moved to a trail and decided to set up an ambush there. Wild boars rushed out from the forest, and we took them down one by one, aiming to not let any of them escape. To hunt wild boar, you have to be very patient and never give up. And here's our result. Well, a giant wild boar. In the afternoon, our hunting was mainly in the hilly area around us. In our experience, most of the wild boars were sheltering in this area, only appearing in the surrounding farms when they were foraging. 1 foot 35 yards. Indeed, in just a few hours, quite a few wild boars appeared in my sights. At the most favorable and safe distance, I opened fire and took down each wild boar one by one. All the wild boars that were hunted were gathered in one place and loaded onto the truck. After loading the wild boars onto the truck, we moved to the gathering camps. Everyone ate and chatted happily. I also felt the friendliness of everyone.